I'm setting up everything for YouTube right now. So I'm preparing that live stream currently. I'm setting up everything for YouTube. Okay, so we're on YouTube now as well. All right. And now I'm going to get some people in. But we're going to get this party started today in a second. Uh, let's do this. Let's see. All right. So we're going to have some people joining. Okay, just if you want to be part of the live, okay, the only people that can join the live anymore are people who are part of the trust community. Good morning, good morning. So just keep this in mind. I'm only doing that because of the people who've come in and attacked the lives with all kinds of nasty stuff that I can't say on TikTok. Very degrading type of material they would just start throwing up on the screen and stuff like that. So we're going to do everything we can to protect um, the live feed by not allowing that. And this is the best way to do it because when I did it in Telegram, these guys would go nuts about it. And, yeah, they're haters. Exactly. Thank you. That's exactly what they are. They're haters. Um, and it's so messed up that these people find themselves in this position where they're like, oh, I'm allowed, let's go in there and destroy this guy's life. And all I'm really trying to do is help people recover their rights, their freedom, you know. Um, and that's something I wanted to talk about today is actually like some rules, right? Now, these are rules. These are not rules that you must abide by. These are rules that, you know, um, these are just rules that would do you good if you chose to follow them. Okay. Because remember, everything we do, it's all voluntary, right? Including like being an honorable man or woman. Okay. If you want to be an honorable man or woman, okay, these are some things you would want to do. Right. One is like uphold the rights of others. Okay. People have rights. Uphold the rights of others, right? Your rights are only protected by protecting the rights of others. Like and that's exactly what I'm doing here. I'm trying to protect the rights of everybody. Okay. And I think this is a vital and important part of what we do, right? And when you have people coming in and trying to disrupt that protection of the rights of all, okay, you're what you're looking at, you're facing a direct enemy. Okay, that's enemy. They are directly confronting you, saying, I hate you, I hate what you stand for, and I will do everything I can to stop it. That's an enemy of the people right there. Okay, and those guys that we've had on here, they're straight up enemies. There's no, like the scammers, the guys who come on and pretend to be me. Okay. If you're on TikTok, this is my only TikTok account. I do not have any other ones. Please report any other TikTok account that pretends to be me. This is my only one. Okay. Thank you. Um, that's the first thing, right? Is you're trying to uphold the rights of others as you would if it were your own rights. Because if you let the other people's rights get violated, your rights are up for violation as well. Okay, so they're going to be violated. So that's why you want to protect the rights of other people. Okay. Another thing is contracts, trusts, oaths, right, that are given are these are binding. Okay. uh, Betrayal destroys equity. Okay, if you pledge faithfulness knowingly and willingly, withdrawing it would be treason. Now, I know like people are going to go, well, what about these? What about the credit cards and stuff like that? Whoa, whoa, whoa. We're talking about in honor. Are those guys acting in honor? No, they're betraying you. Those companies are betraying you. Okay, because what are they doing? They're selling your data, they're pooling these these contracts, and then they're creating portfolios, right, which makes the business and company look better. They get grants, loans, other things like that, and they make tons and tons of money off of pooling all these debt instruments that they're creating from your information. Okay, so is it honorable right? For them to do that and then not give you a cut of the amount of money that they're making. It's not. It's disgusting. Then they make you pay on top of that. Okay. Um, so, when you enter into a contract or trust or an oath, right? If you give these things in honor, they are binding. But when these guys, so if you pledge your faithfulness knowingly and willingly, withdrawing it would be treason, right? That's right. Withdrawing your loyalty forfeits your protection. But the thing is that these guys, if they're not acting in honor, you don't have to uphold a contract like that, because what you're saying is that, look, I don't actually owe you any support anymore because of what you're doing. Okay. All right. And that's another point, is that in law, loyalty sustains jurisdiction and it ensures enforcement of rights. If you owe your support to someone or a group, you shouldn't turn your back on them. Okay. But the thing is that that loyalty will sustain jurisdiction. So if you're like, if these guys are being good to you and doing right by you, then you do owe them something. But a lot of these companies do not act in honor. They don't act that way. The court system does the same thing. They do not act in honor. They do not respect your rights. You do not owe anyone your support, because remember, the first principle, I would make this principle number one. All right. If we were to create this as like a guideline of rules of sovereignty and principles, number one would be uphold the rights of others as you would your own. Your rights are protected by protecting the rights of others, plain and simple. Okay. And if you were to do that, okay, the courts would have to honor such a concept, right? Because, that's something they just don't do. They don't do it. Who's seen a court system honor and protect and uphold the rights of others? I have never, I've seen it. It's very rare. And that's the sad thing. Okay. I talked about this on a Rumble video I just made about the quasi criminal courts. I will write, and I'm going to write and share with everybody a memorandum of law on that. Okay. And it'll be free for people to use. So you just take it. I'll have it in my Telegram group. And I want you people to use this memorandum of law. But I'm going to write a really nice one on quasi criminal court proceedings and a memorandum of law on that. And then what we're going to do is you can submit that into your court cases, and we're going to force the judge to be honorable, right? His oath given in honor is binding. Him betraying that oath destroys equity, right? He pledged his faithfulness knowingly and willingly, and he's withdrawing it. That's treason. Okay. If I hand you, let's say I give you, $10,000 worth of gold, and I say, please give this to my friend Gary over here. When you see him next week, since you're going across country and you're going to see Gary, give him this $10,000 worth of gold. I have to give it to, it's his. I had it here and I want to give it to him. I'm trusting you to do it. And you say, I pledge to you that I will give him that $10,000. Well, what if you don't? If you don't give him that $10,000 worth of gold, you betrayed me, you betrayed Gary, and you've destroyed equity. Okay, that is treason. I entrusted you with this. I entrusted you to do a simple action for me. You betrayed me and you betrayed him. There is no equity anymore. Okay, that is treason. I trusted you, you betrayed it. Done. Right? This is what the court system is doing. This is what the politicians are doing. They are betraying the trust that was people have put into them. Like, I trust that because you did your oath of office, that the judge, the judge is going to uphold and protect my rights. Okay. And you're not doing that. So now that automatically puts him in treason in my book. I don't see how anyone could say that's not treason and kind of just shrug it off. This is why judges shouldn't have qualified immunity, police shouldn't have qualified immunity, prosecutors shouldn't have qualified immunity. There should be no qualified immunity, period. It is illegal, it is immoral, and it's unacceptable. It allows the complete degradation of your rights by giving someone qualified immunity. What qualified immunity is basically saying, it's okay if this guy harms you because we allow him to do that. What is that? That's like it's like what California's doing with the criminals. They let the criminals go, okay, and then they go out there and wreak havoc, and then they say, you know what? It's okay. It's okay because you had a rough life. I, who hasn't had a rough life? Give me a break. You know, like it's just BS. The Social Security and medical payroll deductions. Um, you have to do a revocation of election, but the if you want the Social Security, because once you're retired, you can collect the paychecks. I don't see why you wouldn't want the because and by the way, if you do the revocation of election, once you start collecting Social Security, there's no tax on it, so you'll get the full money. But the Medicaid stuff you can opt out. I think there was some form somewhere on the Social Security Administration website for that, but I don't know where it is. I'm not sure which one it is. But I'll tell you what, I'll look into it. I'll make a whole video on how to do that. Okay. Um, you've maxed out on the Social Security credits, then there's nothing to pay them. I would just there are opt out forms on the Social Security Administration website for that, and some of them are actually IRS forms because they use the same system. So so that was the thing. They're not upholding the rights. They're betraying uh, the trust that was given to them by making with their oath. Okay, so they're in treason. Okay, and like I said, loyalty sustains jurisdiction. This is why they lose jurisdiction. They don't have it because they're violating your rights. And then they can't enforce anything. They have no enforcement ability the moment they do that. They owe support to you. You are one of the people, and they've turned their back on you. Okay. Now, you here's the other thing though. You never diminish or degrade your standing by confessing to the subject status, right? The US citizen, the US person, that is a subject status, right? It's the status of subject, right? You're alive, you're a man or a woman, you're not a legal fiction. Don't don't compromise yourself. Do not degrade yourself to being that thing. All right, that's a rule that, and like I said, these are rules that you can decide to. You say, you know what, Joe, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to allow that to happen. You know, because sometimes these courts stress me out, and I just don't want to deal with it anymore. That's fine. This code I'm talking about here is one that you can choose to utilize or not. It's a free country, right? If you say no, I want to be the legal person, right? But yeah, never diminish your standing. Court filing fees, this is real simple. You just tell them that you're poor, right? And then to waive the fees, they have like a little form that you use, and you just claim that you're broke, and you fill out the form, and then they give you the exemption for the filings. All right, filing fees. So that's not a big deal. That's a very simple thing. You can actually call the court and tell them, hey, I don't have any money. Isn't there a waiver or something I can do? And they go, yes, fill this out, and then you can get your filings without paying. Never pay for filings, people. Don't ever do it. In fact, I'll make a Rumble video on that too. But you got to remember something. The reason why I haven't done that is because state to state, it's different. So if I was going to make a video to cover that, I'd have to make 50 videos to cover it because in all 50 states, it's different. And then with the federal government, it's different again. So you'd have to do another one. So I'd have to do 51 videos on that. I'm not interested in doing that. Oh, all right. Now, so never degrade or diminish your standing by confession of subject status, right? Never do that. Never compromise with false presumptions or unlawful jurisdictions, okay? Equity demands consistency. Either you stand in truth or you yield to fraud, okay? And that's really it. I wouldn't compromise with false presumptions. I put it out there in front of them. I say, I know, are you making this presumption, this presumption, this presumption, right? What kind of jurisdiction are you using? Oh, this quasi-criminal? I don't see that in the state constitution anywhere. Where is quasi-criminal jurisdiction written in the state or federal constitutions? Well, it doesn't have to be. Yes, it fucking does. Yes, it does. The federal constitution lays out exactly what kind of laws we have, what kind of jurisdictions we have in this country. And you know what? I don't see it in there. And I don't see it in the state constitution either. So give me a break. This is like an invented thing that you came up with so that way. And I've seen them do this. You know, you try to use the criminal procedures and they go, well, that doesn't apply here. And then you try using the civil procedures of your state, and they go, well, that doesn't apply here. And they flip flop on it, right? So that way they could just beat the crap out of you in these courtrooms on the quasi criminal proceedings. And there's no quasi criminal procedures. Where the hell is the book on that? But this is a big problem. So never compromise with these false presumptions, right? You either stand in truth or you give up to the fraud, right? There is no in between. All right. Never. And now the next thing is like, you should never diminish your rights with privileges, right? So don't, and remember, like I said, this code is not something you have to follow. It's optional. It's up to you. You take what you want from this. Okay. Hey, um, I see you. I see you. Just saying hi back. Um, but the thing is that uh, you have a right, okay? And then the government offers you privileges and benefits, okay? Um, but it's an exchange for your inherent liberty, natural rights. We're not talking about civil rights, because civil rights are privileges and benefits that were given to you by the government in exchange for your natural rights. Everyone has natural rights. The natural rights are listed, some of them are listed out in the Bill of Rights, right? 1 through 10, some of them, right? The 10th Amendment applies to the people. It says it in the 10th Amendment, right? So it says that the sovereignty remains with the state or the people, right? But where does the state get its sovereignty from? It gets its authority from the people. So it really always comes back to the people. The people, and the 10th Amendment, really what it does is saying that the people have a right to get together, create a government that's made for them. Okay? So that's your group. That's what that is. That's your group. That's your community. Okay? And the 10th Amendment recognizes the fact that you can create your own groups and abide by the rules of the group that you create. Okay? Now, our state governments, we're not really creating those things. Those things they're on automatic. We're letting the politicians just run rampant on people. And the majority of the people in the country do not really care or pay any attention to it. They argue stupid talking points like left wing or right wing talking points. Now, some of those talking points, some of those arguments are valid, real issues. I'm not gonna diminish that. But I will say that a lot of those things are irrelevant to what people are actually dealing with in society today. People are dealing with, you know, um, poverty, right? The problem with like the mortgages and debt and stuff like that, right? The traffic stuff, right? Those kinds of court cases, government encroachment. These are what people are really dealing with, and that's the stuff that's not being talked about or confronted inside of these political, DC Hollywood crap, District of Columbia Hollywood. Because I see all that political stuff. It's all like Hollywood, right? So DC Hollywood is what I've been calling it, right? DC Hollywood, and it's all fake. None of it's real, all right? On either side, it's all BS, and both sides talk about things like it's okay to violate free speech, right? That's BS. That's bullshit. You don't violate somebody's free speech ever, okay? Um, th- you just don't do it. But I see them doing it. Okay. Now that doesn't mean that there's certain types of speech that are not protected under the First Amendment. Threats, it's not protected. Okay. Slander, right? Putting somebody into a certain light that is not true to harm their integrity, their reputation. Okay, to destroy them publicly, uh, if unjustified. Like if it's not real, that's slander. That's not protected. Okay. And we see that happening. Um, no, I'm not gonna. No, that's not. If you act as the sole proprietor of the legal name to work in the courts and only claim equitable, no, they're not gonna. That doesn't fly. There's a whole other thing for that. That's a whole other thing, but we can get into that later. So the assumed name, DBA, sole proprietor, whatever you want to call it, depends on what state you're in, trade name, yada yada yada. That DBA is proof that you have legal title over the name. It doesn't mean you have equitable title over the name. You can't convert it that way. There's other things you would need to do, right? In the courtroom, you're just showing that it's not you, okay? When you're using that assumed name certificate, you're saying, hey, that's a business. That's not me. Don't confuse me with that thing, okay? And see, Danny, this is the problem. You see, I thought the government had the legal ownership. No, they don't. You have legal ownership. Well, they own it until you get the DBA. Once you get the assumed name certificate, it's now legally yours. Okay. Um, to get equitable ownership, you would have to have the trademark. Now you've actually conjoined them, right? That's how you have to do it. Uh, well, I'm not going to talk about the birth certificate on TikTok for certain reasons. If we were only on YouTube, I would talk more about it, but TikTok has shut down my lives because of the birth certificate. So unfortunately, I can't get into that one. All right, now, um, so that's the thing. Never compromise with false presumptions. Okay, that's a rule. All right, in my book, like I said, you don't have to follow these rules. This is this is just how I feel. Right? Never diminish your rights or privileges. Right? Don't take your inherent liberty and convert it into a benefit, because then you're going to spend forever trying to get it back, that liberty. Like, let's say you want to have a gun at home to protect your family, or you want to go hunting, right? You like venison, so you're going to go hunting, right? The state says you need a permit before you can get a gun. So they say, well, it's a privilege and it's a benefit, so you need to get this license. So you go get the license, but what you've just done is traded your inherent liberty of your right to bear arms to receive a benefit from the state. And it was the only conversion was that you thought that that was what you had to do because they put something on the books saying, well, the state says you have to get a permit. You already had the right. The permit's right there. It's Second Amendment. That's your permit. You don't need anything further than that. All right. Now here's the thing. Okay, so that's the other thing is like every time you trade your right for a benefit, right? Like your right to travel is gone because everyone's waived that. Um, everyone's waived it. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Um, yeah, you agreed to abide by their rules governing it then. Yeah, so they have control over you now because you've contracted with the state. It's really simple, you know. These things are all contracts. They'll tell you that's not a contract, that's not a contract, you have to do it. But they're lying to you. It's flat out. Remember, is that judge upholding the rights of others? Is he out there to protect your rights? No, he's not doing it. We've seen it firsthand. You've seen it. Oh, you know all those sovereign citizen fail videos you see on YouTube, right? And people are making fun of that dude for trying to stand on his rights. Oh, he's so stupid. Oh, he's so stupid. Well, the judge in every single one of those cases is violating his rights of due process, right? They never talk about that part. Maybe the guy's saying stupid stuff. Maybe he's being a complete jackass. Maybe he's saying the dumbest crap. A lot of times those guys are saying stupid stuff. I'm not trying to put those guys down. It's just that they're only working with the knowledge that they actually have. And they haven't gained enough knowledge and enough experience to know that what they're saying is wrong. But they're making the steps like, hey, I have rights and I want them to be protected. And the judge is like, no, I'm not protecting your rights. Screw you. I'm here to make money and you're getting in the way of that. So he's not upholding your rights. Okay. And then, yeah, AI gonna lie to you. All right. I mean, I cracked AI and I got it to admit to me about a whole bunch of stuff that it just didn't, I had to fight it and fight it and fight it. And I gave it case law after case law until it finally goes, well, fine, you're right. I'm like, man, you're so butthurt. AI was butthurt. I swear it seemed like there was another dude on the other end. It wasn't AI. I think it was a dude. And he's just sitting there going, yeah, you bastard. Fine. Ah, he won. But he didn't want to do it. Look at these fucking like dudes want to come in and do like these challenges with me. I'm not playing the game. All right. Um, but that's the thing is like if you know, when you diminish your rights for privilege, you've lost. Okay. And the state is really good at doing this because they use the cops and they use the courts, right? To as a threat and put people under duress to waive their rights for a privilege. Okay. So that happens all the damn time. Oh my goodness, this dude keeps coming. Don't leave me alone. He keeps asking to join this live on TikTok. It's a TikTok thing, people. If you don't know, don't worry about it. It's just one of those people that wants to say stupid stuff. Yeah, long arm of the muscle. So don't think like when these people share these videos and mock these guys in the courtroom, right? Question them. Say, is the judge right though to treat people like that? Is the judge right for yelling at somebody when he goes, "Hey, you know, I'm here, blah, blah, blah." Oh, stop with that crap. What are you talking about? Why is he doing that? Right? So it's just saying like, you know, these judges do not have your best interest. Okay. And I'm not going to say all of them are like that. There are good judges out there. Okay. There was a judge that was pretty popular online. And he was really nice. He worked with people. I mean, obviously he was still playing the fiction of law stuff because he was in traffic court a lot, but he was real kind. He he gave equitable remedies to people. Go, hey, look, you know, if you can't pay, just tell me you can't pay. You know, we'll work something out. Give us $5 or something, right? He's like, I don't care. That was a good judge. That guy was a good guy. There's another judge I see that acts pretty good, but he got really crazy on a couple of people sometimes. And he was like so giddy about just smashing a couple of these defendants. But for the most part, that guy is pretty honorable too. But some of these judges are just trash. Okay. I've seen these judges screaming at people, right? In the middle of a court case, well, appeal me. Appeal. Well, you've already made a decision about the court case then, haven't you? If you're yelling, appeal me before the case is done, then we already know where you've been standing this whole time. You've already judged this case. That's a prejudgment of the case. That's illegal. Yeah, I know that older judge died. Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple of good guys and you know, but some of these judges are just trash. They're horrible people. They probably have horrible family lives. Okay. They probably like their family probably do not like them, hates them, stays away from them, avoids them. Right. They probably drink a lot, very heavy drinkers, right? Because their lives suck and they probably treat people like that outside of the courtroom too. If you're gonna yell at some random dude in a courtroom who says, "Hey, I have rights. I want them to be stand on. I want my rights to be protected," and you start yelling at them, you don't even know this dude. You don't even know this guy. That must be so miserable and treat the people around you like such trash, right? That the only thing left for you to do in your life is to get drunk and try to drink away your sorrow and your depression and your miserable existence, right? Like, because what has he done? He's telling you he's already sold his soul for a paycheck. Okay, he sold his integrity and his honor for a paycheck. That's what he's done. That's what I see when these judges start acting like that and start screaming like that in the courtroom. I go, this guy sold his soul for a paycheck, right? He gave up his integrity and his honor for a paycheck. He was once a good intentioned man or woman. And then he got into this thing and was like, you know what? I like the money I'm making. I like how rich I'm going to get off of this. And when someone comes into the courtroom and says, I don't think you should get rich off of me, you go, fuck you, everyone. I get rich off of everybody in here. Everyone makes my paycheck bigger, right? That's what these people are. And I'm not saying it's every judge, okay? But absolutely these guys that do that are that's absolutely what's going on with their minds. Okay. And the cops do the same thing. They don't care. All they're looking for is how am I going to advance? How am I going to bolster my career? Let me get more tickets. Let me get more people in trouble. Let me fabricate more crimes on these tickets. Let me write more. How many charges can I give this guy today? Because if I can do this, I'm going to bolster my career. I'm going to get paid more. I'm going to get higher up in this police system, right? So yeah, they see us as criminals and debtors. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. So that's what I mean. But never diminish your rights with these privileges because it just opens up the door to these criminals and this criminality. Okay. Now, here's an interesting one. Okay. This is another idea, right? Like, do not give or receive legal notice, demand, or consent unless you yourself determine it to be proper. Okay. You have to look at every contract that you're faced with and decide whether or not this is something that you feel is a good contract. Like people go get cars, okay, and don't think that this is not, you can't do this, because you can absolutely do this, right? Yeah, I like that. Retire and live large off the back of their own community. Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. They're scum. So the thing is, if you get into a contract, right, you can modify the contract any way you want. There's a thing called a novation where you can redefine the terms of the contract, right? The contract just has words on it, right? It's just words and agreements. But what you can do is you can say, well, I'm going to do this novation here because I want this contract. We can never have to change any word on the page, but you can make the words mean what you want them to mean. Since no one's defined these terms, you can define them and create and mold the contract into something that suits you good. So this is why I say always read these contracts. And then you can always say, I don't agree to this. I don't want this term. Let's take this part off of here. Let's do that. These guys will work with you, okay, if you know how to talk with them. If they go, no, we don't change that. Say, all right, bye. Right? You walking out the door is not going to impact their financial scene unless they're really a failing business. Okay. But it does keep you in honor with your own integrity. Okay. And this is more important. This is paramount to getting a car. Okay. And like I said, like these rules, what I'm talking about here, what I'm laying out here, this is all just like you could say, you know what, I'm not going to do that, Joe. I'm gonna, I just want, I need the car. I'm just going to sign the contract as is. I don't care. That's fine. Remember, this entire code is optional. Okay, all these things I'm laying down for you, these are optional. You can at any point say, you know what, I like the concept, I really do, but today I can't do that. Right. This concept is not, it's not law binding, right? This is all good. This is just uh, it's like a guideline to operate from, but you don't have to honor it. Okay. But that's the thing is like if you have autonomy over your contract and agreements, that's the highest thing. Because if you have control over that stuff, you'll always be in the control seat. You'll always be sitting, you'll be Captain Kirk, all right, on the Enterprise. You're in control. Okay. And that's how you have to treat it. When you walk into these places, the bank, the dealership, you are the captain of the SS Enterprise. Okay. You sitting there and you're going to give direction. These people really are supposed to work for you. But when you go in there and you just sign and do all these agreements and these contracts without really understanding the entirety of the contract, you're giving the power over to these companies. You don't need to do that. They can modify contracts for you. They can accept your terms. Don't think that it's all one-sided. It's not one-sided. And you'll get those lower people that go, well, this is the standard contract we have to do. So, well, I don't want to do the standard contract. I'm not really interested in that. I want a contract that I'll be happy with. I'm not happy with this contract. And they'll bring you up to somebody higher who can do modifications. Okay. Yeah, most people, you're right. Most people need contract education. Well, we're talking about like a code right now about how to live as a free man or woman. Okay, that's kind of what I'm talking about here. Um, like obviously this is something that you can. It's in my that's the Form 91C. It's in my Telegram group. All right, go get it and go get your MCO for your car. It works. All right. So, but this is important. Like these contracts, you can contract how you want with any company. These companies don't have a monopoly on how the contract has to be written. Okay, there's a meeting of the minds. You guys got to get together and create a contract. They want something. They want your business. They want to make money from you. All right, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with a company making money from you, as long as they're giving you in return what you want, what you need. Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. That's exchange. Okay. And a fair exchange is a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that. If I come to your house and I mow your lawn, what are you going to do for me in exchange? Right? Now you could go be out of the kindness of your heart, you could do something, but I wouldn't play that game with these banks or anything like that. That's not something you play with these banks because they're gonna eat you alive. All right? They're gonna eat you alive if you let them do that. Don't let them walk all over you. And anyone who's dealt with these companies knows exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, thank you. The judges, I keep forgetting that the YouTube live has comments on there. So just take a quick minute to acknowledge everybody watching on YouTube and your comments as well. Thank you guys for being here. Can you post your email and Telegram info? So many scammers. Yes, I will post that. Give me 1 minute. I'll share it in YouTube, my actual Telegram channel, legit one, not the scammer one. We don't do the scammer one here. I don't have a link to the scammer one, but this is the real link is here. So I'm going to drop that in. That's the real if you want the Telegram link, go over to YouTube. I just shared the Telegram link inside the YouTube channel. All right. What's a good court citation to use when fighting fishing licenses? Something concrete. Well, the Birmingham versus Shuttleworth is actually concrete, but one thing is, I have to think of some other good ones. Murdoch versus Pennsylvania is another one, but I know they kind of go because it's been overused. They trash those ones. It's kind of sad. But anyway, talking about the contracts, I'll tell you what, Troy. Here's what we'll do. For the fishing licenses and stuff, I'll dig up some other court cases and then we'll go and find something I'll make a video on Rumble for it and we'll come up with a really solid one for that. The fishing licenses. All right. There's got to be something really good out there. We'll find one specific for that. All right. Now the other thing is you should never accept a judgment or an order unless it is lawful and in accord with due process. Okay. Now, and this is an important thing. See, the recognition of jurisdiction is voluntary. Okay, it's voluntary when there is no harm or contract is shown. If there's no harm and there is no contract, okay, then you don't have to recognize their jurisdiction. It really is that simple. That's the simplicity of this entire thing is that if...
How many Iggy's you want?
Huh? What?
I don't think he realized. I think his audio just said, when you come in live, it's on. I don't think he realized he's got his audio on.
Oh, okay. So yeah, but so if you're driving down the road and a cop stops you, okay. Yeah, actually, Troy, you should probably check your state constitution. They might have something on that in there. Okay. Life, liberty. Okay. You have life, right? You have the right to life, right? Well, that's your fishing license right there. Well, dude, I gotta eat, right? If I don't eat, am I gonna die? Yeah. Do I have a right to life? It's right in the state constitution. So I don't think you even need a court case for that. But you could use your state constitution and then go look up that in the state Supreme Court life, the right to life and liberty and stuff like that, and see if you can pull up any Supreme Court cases of your state or any kind of maybe federal case or something. But I think state Supreme Court rulings are very impactful in the lower courts. Because then if the lower court still says, screw you, you can do a writ of mandamus with the Supreme Court, telling that lower court to recognize your fucking rights protected by the state constitution. Okay, and then you could put sanctions on the judge if you have to. Okay, because this is bullshit. They can't, this is the thing. They're not protecting your rights because they're trying to get a fucking paycheck. And it's like, I'm sorry, my rights are not beneath their paycheck, dude. My rights are more important than your paycheck. He's got plenty of money. He doesn't need mine. He doesn't need to screw my life up so that he gets a better paycheck. Fuck that dude. All right. But that's the thing is that if they're violating your rights, you don't need to recognize their jurisdiction. It would be voluntary to recognize their jurisdiction if there's no harm and there's no contract. Okay. So never accept a judgment or order that unless they are lawful and if they're in accord with due process. Otherwise, object to everything. All right, and treat all men and women as equal Americans. Right, this is pretty obvious. I think this is a lesson that needs to be learned today because a lot of people do not treat other or afford the other people rights. They think, well, I have those rights, but you don't. You know, this is like the mentality that we're seeing today, anyway, which is BS. All right, but the same equity you demand must be afforded to others. Okay, this is an important thing. So you know you got to treat everyone as equals. I can't believe I have to even say this in a day like today. You would think we would know this by now. I think we knew this in the 80s. What the hell happened? No. All right. Now, you want to fulfill obligations that you've expressly undertaken. All right. Performance of trust duties, contracts, right? Maintain standing and equity. Okay. And this is important because as long as you fulfill obligations you expressly took to undertake, this goes back to, you know, having autonomy over your contracts, right? Like I said, you should never contract like, and mind you, this is all optional. You don't have to apply any of this. But from my standpoint, I would never get into a contract that I don't agree to all the terms in. Okay. But if you do have a contract that you agree to all the terms in, like actually knowingly and willingly, you read them, you understood them, you agreed to these terms, you should fulfill your obligations. That is standing in equity, right? So you have to keep your integrity. You made a promise to fulfill something, do it. But a lot of these companies, they do all this weird manipulation stuff with the monetary system and portfolios and securitization. If you signing a contract with them, right, fulfill your end of the obligation, there's nothing left to do. That's it. Because if they're gonna start pooling these debts, these securities, and start trading them, bulking up their portfolios, I think you've done enough for this company where that you guys have now have a fair exchange. Okay, there's equal exchange here, right? They gave you a product. Let's say it was worth $8,000, and you gave them something they could put in their portfolio that they use to get like a $20,000 grant. Well, a $20,000 grant. I think we're satisfied here, right? I don't think that we need to go any further. If they turn around and say, "Well, you did make our company we gave you that $8,000 item, right? Let's say it's a car, $8,000, and we took that and made $20,000 off of that security." I don't That means that you just minus the 8,000, they made another 12 grand after getting paid the 8,000. So, or $12,000, excuse me, after the 8 grand. So I don't see why you have to pay them again. They've already gotten paid. They got more than double what you gave them, right? Or what they gave you. So I think we'd be in pretty good shape with each other. All right. So the other thing is like, maintain integrity of trust, never betray confidence, right? A fiduciary duty, right? This is sacred. A fiduciary duty is really sacred because what you're doing is you're opening up the door to having someone trust you with something of value. Okay. And then we're not just talking money. We could be talking about like relics, family heirlooms, right? This fiduciary duty is sacred. All right. To break it is to lose credibility. This is lawful credibility you're losing by breaking this fiduciary duty. Okay. And you can look at it the other way. Who's doing that to you? These companies break fiduciary duty, right? They have a fiduciary duty, right? In a lot of these situations, and then they go and break it. Okay. So that's the thing is that if you're going to be this way, you do expect it to come back, but just realize that these rules, right, or guidelines. I shouldn't say rules, but guidelines, because guidelines you can follow, you don't have to. Rules you have to follow, right? These guidelines are not something that these guys are going to have the integrity to follow. Okay, you have, because you're a decent human being, but they're not. Yeah, right. They go Federal Reserve discount window. That's where they get the money, right? But where's it go? What are they depositing? They're depositing this into the Social Security account. I'll show you guys that in a minute, a couple minutes. Um, it's somewhere. It's in the POMS manual somewhere. So let me go look for it real quick. Let's see. It's found it.
Did you find it?
Okay,
Did you find it?
I found it. Hold on. I got it. Right here. I got it. I keep it close by. All right. So this is in the Programs Operation Manual system called POMS. This is the Social Security Administration Operation Manual. So this is going to be found on the Social Security Administration website. If you're watching on TikTok and you'd like to see what I'm actually pulling up, it's a government website for real. It's not imaginary. You can see it's up there. Okay, it's a .gov website. And this is what they say. I'm going to read it to you word for word. Um, oh man, dude, that's bad news. If he doesn't have an oath on file, you got to let the upper courts know this so that way they can remove him. Okay, because he's actually a liability and danger to everybody in the area. Straight up. If a judge doesn't have an oath, you need to report it to the higher courts, let them know, so that way he can be taken off or he can go get his oath properly. But he probably can't, because if he's been sitting on that bench too long without taking an oath, he's not valid to be holding that office. So he has to step down. So these are called resources assumed to be liquid. All right, this is in the SI 01110.305. I will not be repeating that because it's going to be on YouTube. You can go look. All right. Introduction. Cash is always liquid. In addition, certain non-cash items. You hear that? You got, Mike, you have to report him. You got to report him, but you have to do it the proper way. You have to do it through a writ. You can't just say, he doesn't have an oath, right? You have to do a writ of mandamus to tell the lower court to stop what they're doing. All right. That's what I mean. Like, people try to do things and they don't understand the proper procedure to get things done. Right. That's a writ of mandamus. The upper court has to tell the lower court what to do. All right. You just tell the upper court writ of mandamus. Tell this judge that he either needs to do his oath or he has to get out. Yes. Thank you. It has to be on the record. All right. So cash is always liquid. In addition, certain non-cash items are nearly always liquid. It's right on here. So, assumption of liquidity. Absent evidence to the contrary, we assume the following types of resources are liquid: stocks, bonds, and mutual fund shares, checking and savings accounts and time deposits, United States savings bonds and treasury bills, notes and bonds, and mortgages and promissory notes. Okay, what did it say? Mortgages and promissory notes. Why are we talking about these things inside the Social Security Administration manual? Why? Because of that Federal Reserve window? Remember that? The Federal Reserve window? Okay. So that's what's going on. By the way, guys, if you're in the Zoom, don't start on this chat stuff. Just talk. Like, this is just silly. You guys are on the call. You can talk. Right? If
I was just putting the number in there so people could grab it and put it in their browser for later.
But I see a whole bunch of people talking on here, and let me see. What is this? Oh, I see what's going on. Oh, all right, fine. Never mind, never mind. Only if you have like solid, like some real question or something like that. Then you're just gonna start. Yeah. Okay, fine. Never mind. Never mind. I'll retract my statement. The comments were just other things. It wasn't part of the conversation specifically. All right, but there you go. So, um, this is the thing here. They assume that these things are liquid, meaning if the bank turns to the Federal Reserve window and hands over a promissory note to be deposited into the Social Security account, they consider it liquid. It's assumed to be liquid, or the mortgage. Oh, it's liquid. Maybe they're holding it. The bank could get it back later, right? They have to return the funds probably. Well, what are they probably going to do? Maybe they'll do something else. Maybe they'll do stock bonds, mutual fund shares, right? Mutual fund shares, right? Notes, bonds, right? This is notes. They can make another note. They have what's called electronic commercial paper. They just do this. They write it on the computer, send it to them, and then they get money. It's called ECP. All right, I'm not making this up. ECP. Watch. ECP. Look at this. Okay, let's do commercial paper. E-commercial paper. Oh, come on. Electronic. I have to do it. I have to do it like this. Electronic paper. No. Where is this stuff? Commercial paper. Okay, we'll just look at commercial paper, but they do have electronic commercial paper. They do it digitally now. Magic, right? Everything's freaking digital nowadays. Go figure. Let's see if they have it on here. Types of commercial paper, promissory notes, drafts, bankers' acceptances, certificates of deposit, repurchase agreements. Issuer. The issuer of the commercial paper is the entity creating the short-term debt to fund their short-term cash needs. Who is the issuer? Look what it's saying, by the way. Who's the issuer then? It's the guy who's trying to fund their short-term cash needs. Who's that? Who needs cash? When you go to the bank, right, to go get a loan, who's the issuer of the commercial paper?
We are.
Bingo. So if you're the issuer, look at this. Let's go to this. Let's go to the issuer. Well, you're not the issuer. It's actually your U.S. citizen's the issuer. But let's not get into all that just yet. All right. You're the issuer. Okay, this is under I think it's here, documents, a title, doing here. Issuer says same thing. Nope, not this one. It's 8, maybe? Maybe it's 8. Can't remember where everything is all the time. That's right. Yeah, James is right. Yeah, once they do that, it's traded over and over again. But they just do the copies. They sell copies, so they just print it out, right? Oh, it's not in here. Whatever. I'm not gonna go crazy on it, but here's the thing. Let's look at this 8281 form. 8281 form. Okay. And this is information returned for publicly offered original discount issued discount instruments. This is debt instruments they're talking about here. Okay, so on a debt instrument, okay, original issued discount means that it's a debt instrument that accrues an interest. That's what that means. And right here, who's the issuer? This goes along with the 1099 OID form, by the way. So they're telling you right here in this whole thing that you are the issuer. You're the issuer of this commercial paper. How come you haven't gotten credit for it? They deposit it into the Social Security account, into whose? Yours. Because they're going to draw out the funds. They basically, it's liquid. So they're going to put it in, because the Federal Reserve holds all the Social Security accounts for the Treasury. So they go to the Federal Reserve window, they deposit these things into these accounts, then they get back liquid funds, right? In the form of whatever, probably all digital. I don't think there's nothing else being traded here. They just put like numbers on a screen and go, all right, there you go. And they go, great. Then they transfer the funds over to an account for you and they go, okay, well now we just paid your debt. You have to pay us back. What? What do you mean? All right, look, maybe you're entitled to a little something because of the trading off, but the amount of money they're asking for, holy jeez, they want a lot of money. Like they want the full amount of this loan, we're going to say ha when we're talking, when we know it's not really a loan. This ha loan, right? It's, ha, you know, it's not a loan because they didn't actually give you any money. They took money out of your Social Security account, right? And I'd say, okay, maybe like a finder's fee, right? A trader's fee, something like that. Fine, whatever. You know, you want a couple $100 or something. Fine, you know, but man, it's in the Social Security Administration's manual. It's called POMS, POMS. All right. If you go to my YouTube channel, I'm live right now. You can actually see it up on the screen. All right, so keep that in mind, and that's up. It's going to be up forever. It's already recorded on YouTube, so you don't have to ask if I'm recording this. All right, but yeah, that's what they're doing. So you take the promissory note and the mortgage, they put it into the Social Security account, they do this digital currency back to them, right? You are the issuer, and you've never claimed being the issuer. So what happened? You've lost out on your credit. That's your credit, and you just lost it because you didn't know what you're supposed to do as an issuer. You have a person, you have a legal person who does the issuing for you. That's your commercial entity. That's your assumed name, your DBA, sole proprietor, whatever you want to call it. Okay? That legal entity does all your banking business for you. TikTok folded and hid the address. I'm missing something there. So anyway, but the thing is that's what's going on. Okay. As the issuer, that's what's happening. And you're
Joe,
losing out. Yeah.
sorry to interrupt, but I had posted that website of Social Security site that you were on. And when I went to go grab it for that last person that went into the TikTok, they had hidden
No,
it.
they got to go to YouTube. It's simple. Don't share any of that crap on TikTok. TikTok deletes half of the stuff. All right. Don't even bother with it. Just that's what I'm telling everyone. If you're on TikTok and you want to see what I'm sharing, go to YouTube. All
Got
right.
it.
It's on YouTube. So don't share any of that stuff in TikTok because TikTok hates the truth. They hate the truth. All right. So they take this mortgage, the promissory note, they put it in there. It gets traded over for liquid funds, digital currency. And then they want you to give them that full amount of money they said they gave you, which they didn't, plus interest. Plus interest. So this is why the banks have the biggest, most beautiful buildings, most extravagant stuff. They have marble floors and very expensive everything because they're making like 200% profit, at least the bare minimum 200% profit off of everything, off of you. Minimum 200. They can go sell that promissory note to four other banks. And then they make one of those banks the holder. And then that bank comes in and goes, "Hi, we're your servicer. You're going to be paying us now." And you're like, "What? I didn't get a loan from you guys." "But yeah, but you're going to have to pay us." So wait, hold on a second here. See, well, that's the issuer. The issuer of commercial papers is the entity creating the short-term debt to fund their short-term cash needs. Most issuers are large corporations with strong credit, as the issuer may demonstrate a high probability of being able to pay back debt, especially in the short term. Well, it sounds like BS to me because they say this I think is not really true. Most issuers are large corporations with strong credit. I don't think so. We the people are the issuers. Okay. We're the issuers. Well, your person is the issuer. You're the grantor, they're the issuer. It's different. Anyway, not to get crazy into that, but I hope that clears some of that stuff up there. I'm a little excited today, okay? Don't worry about me. I'm a little where did they get the money to loan? They got the money from you, right? It's from your labor, right? And paying them on the Social Security, right? I can't. There's some things I can't say because TikTok is over here, and TikTok. I know what TikTok wants to do, so
Who
I
is
gotta
the
be.
full faith?
What's that?
Who's the full faith and credit of the United States?
Bingo.
Exactly.
Me, you, the people. Love it. Give the lender the interest and call it even. You know what? Here's the thing. This is like, so my friend tried to sue the bank after getting a mortgage, and they did not want to hear anything he had to say. He was offered, he put in, I think, 3 different motions for discovery, which were all denied. So it's a Brady rule violation right there, because what he was asking for was, he was looking for all the pooling, the Remake information, right? The Remake is the real estate mortgage investment conduit, which basically means that they take the mortgages, they pool them together, and then they sell them over to the U.S. Treasury, right, as an investment conduit. So then it backs up the public debt, okay? And then what they're doing is, since they've sold all that, they've made money, and you're trying to find out how much do they make from that. Because if they've made enough to satisfy the loan, then you don't have to pay them anything, okay? But they will not share that information. They won't
Repeat that
do it.
again, please. Repeat that again. I want to make sure it computed in my brain right.
Okay, so they take, let's do it like this. Let's say this is a mortgage. Here's a mortgage. But the bank does, they take your mortgage, they take someone else's mortgage, they take another guy's mortgage, they take someone else's mortgage. They go, we got all these mortgages, and now we're going to invest these mortgages here, and they're going to get paid on all these stacks of mortgages, right? And they say, okay, now we sold this. They get back, let's say they get, I don't know, let me find something. They get back some money. Where's money? Let's say something of value here. I'll just use this as, we got back this emerald, right? Okay, this is the money right here. So they get this back in turn. And then they say, well, remember, because we invested in those, we still get whatever you're making off of that every month. So then they get money off of that pooled mortgage every month. And then they turn around to you and they go, oh, you have to pay us because you still owe us for that loan, even though we already sold it to somebody else. And we've already invested it in the mortgage. It's called the real estate mortgage investment conduit. They're investing the mortgages and making money off of the other end. I got to do the little puzzle piece here. And
Is that through a SPV, special purpose vehicle?
it could be. But Remake itself is the thing. You know, you have a whole bunch of things. You got the FTC, you have the Remake stuff. You're paying everything twice. Yeah, that's right. When you gave them the promissory note and the mortgage, you satisfied it the second they decided to go pool it and invest that thing, right? And sell it over to the US Treasury or to Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, or whatever, or MERS, okay? MERS. And it's gone. That's it. Wiped out. You even trade. You went and gave it to somebody else? Well, I guess you're not interested in contracting with me. Well, you know, we still have to you still have to pay us, right? Boy, people blowing up my phone this morning. So like crazy, blowing it up. All right, so but that's what these mortgages are, okay? And you know, like my friend had a really good case. I worked on it with him, and he was denied discovery every single time without a reason. So it's a Brady rule violation because he actually had, you know, the stuff that we were asking for was all the Remake information, right? Some other pertinent information, which I don't know if I can say it on TikTok, but everywhere else we probably could. Yeah, go to a qualified. I love that idea, Gary. Go to a qualified broker with a promissory note and knowledge. I love that. All right. Can we invest in the securities like the banks do? Absolutely, you can. Yeah, you can invest in securities. You could get a Treasury Direct account and start buying securities right off Treasury Direct. Yeah. Um, by the way, just as a side note, don't do any of that. Don't do any of that stupid stuff that people tell you to do with the Treasury Direct account. They will, if they shut down your account, you've lost it forever. The Treasury Direct account can be a very good tool, an investment tool. Okay. And I wouldn't try to do any of those weird processes people tell you to do with the Treasury Direct account. because once they close your account, you can never get it back. So you get one shot. Be honorable, right? This is what we were talking about before with our little our code of honor here that we're talking about, right? Um, you know, what was it? Having autonomy over your contracts and agreements, right? The Treasury is doing that. When you get the Treasury Direct to go, we want you to use it this way, and this way. And if you could do that, we will give you remedy if you use it the right way. But if you try to do all these like weird things that we don't want you to do, like with the birth certificate and stuff, right? Forget it. It's done. Um, so that's that. So don't do any of those weird things. I see all these people get their Treasury Direct account shut down, trying to do all this. I'm going to do this redemption process with Treasury Direct. Don't do it. I'm just telling you right now, don't do it. You're going to regret it, because once they shut that down, once you understand the real purpose of utilizing that account, you have no access to it anymore, unfortunately. So don't mess around with that stuff. And if you want to learn more about that Treasury Direct stuff, I will only talk about that in private. Okay, that's and that's the difference. Like, you have to understand the difference between public and private. Okay, and that would be something I would only show you in private. I won't talk about it on a public forum. Okay, because certain remedies must be private. Certain remedies are going to be public, right? Like the passport. That's a public remedy. And the reason why it's public is because it's obvious. It's in the face. They put it on the passport application. Okay, it's in. There's so many court cases that provide this factual evidence of the difference between federal citizenship and state citizenship, and they are not one and the same. AI will sit there and lie to you all day long, tell you that all federal citizenship and state citizenship is the same thing. And some ideologies think that state citizenship is paramount. Well, it fucking is. It totally is. Go read the Articles of Confederation, go read the Constitution, and go read your state constitution, and you'll find out right there. You don't have to look very far into any of that stuff, and it'll tell you that it's the people who create the state creates the federal government. So if you're a state citizen, what are you? You are the top sovereign over all government entities, because the federal government does not exist without the state governments, and the state governments do not exist without the people. You are the prime source of authority in this country. So don't let that AI lie to you. As your prime authority as a state citizen, as a federal citizen, because the federal government created that entity, you're under the federal government as a creation of Congress. So are you a creation of Congress, or are you a creation of higher being or of nature, right? Whatever you want to think on that. Yeah, AI is so screwy on that. That's why I'm like, people don't use AI for that stuff. AI, it will lie to you. All right. And it's BS, right? So, yeah, now that's but anyway, back to what I was saying with this code, right? You're maintaining integrity of trust, right? And you can never betray that confidence. If you want to be a good man or woman, you wouldn't betray that confidence. I think that if you guys are here listening to me and you stuck around, that you probably, yeah, Cruden versus Neal is a great case about that. But from that, your fiduciary duty, it's important. It's a sacred trust, right? It's a binding trust, right? And you're going to lose credibility if you break it. It's just like in a marriage, right? Like if a husband or a wife cheats on the other one, that marriage is really the foundation of that marriage is cracked, and you can mend it, but it's that crack is always going to be there. Okay, you can always go back and look at that crack, like, yeah, you betrayed my trust, you cheated on me, and now our relationship is never going to be the same again. The same thing, like I have a guitar. It's not here, but the headstock broke off of it, right? So that's the top part. You see, like this part here, on TikTok, but the top part of the guitar. I'll just do it this way. So this is called the headstock. Now, on one of my guitars, the headstock broke off right here. It snapped right here. I have a Gibson Les Paul at home, and it broke years ago. And what I did was I repaired it myself. I put some wood glue in there and I clamped it down, and I've never had a problem since. But that crack is always there. Even though the guitar plays just fine, It sounds great. It's a Les Paul. You know, you can't get, there's not many better guitars than a Les Paul out there. But the crack is always there. The little marks from when I was clamping it down are still there. It's always going to be there. You can't get rid of it. So the integrity is changed. And that's the same thing when you do this. Like if you have a fiduciary duty and you break it, people, it's not going to be the same anymore. So you always want to maintain that integrity of trust and never betray confidence. And the other thing is, though, you never want to seek dominance through fraud, coercion, or presumption. Okay, this is what the government does. We don't need to act like them. We can utilize their system, their procedures, their rules to put them in line and put them in order. But we never want to seek to dominate others through fraud, coercion, or presumption, right? Lawful power flows only from consent, right? Or contracting, not by force. And this is what they're doing. They have unlawful power that they use force to get people to comply. You remember this was like the whole 2020 comply, just comply. And how did that work out for people? Hey, Engineer Barbie. All right, so this is what I mean. Yeah, JR, yeah, you would have to train AI, you know, I don't, if you can train it and teach it and get it to understand the truth of the matter, I guess it would be all right. I've talked to it before and I had a whole thing with it, and it took like 40 minutes for me to crack the damn thing for it to go, fine, you have the right to travel. You're right. But it just kept insisting you didn't. I was like, yeah, don't lie to me, you piece of shit. Yeah, that's how I felt about it. This lying ass piece of shit telling me that I don't have a right to travel. It's everywhere. That right to travel exists all over the place. Don't tell me. Yeah, many who complied. What does it say? Many who complied are no longer here. You know, John, that's a sad fact. It really is. It's a sad fact. Um, no, it is. It's sad. A lot of those people who complied don't have the ability to learn from that mistake. Okay, that is a sad thing. But that's the thing. They're going to seek domination through fraud, coercion, or presumption, and they're going to use force to do it. We can't act that way. Okay, what we have to do is lawful power, which we're the ones that have it, and we give it over to them through elections, right? And through consent, through contracts. Okay, it only flows. Lawful power only flows through consent, through contracts. And contracts are a form of consent, right? When you're contracting with someone, you're consenting to whatever stipulations are in that contract. That's what goes back to what we were talking about before, right? Is do not give or receive legal notice, demand, or consent unless you yourself determine it to be proper. Okay, if the judge flat out denied my rights and I asked him if he makes more bond money on appeal, he said there is no bond. Well, he's also not under oath, right, to tell you the truth, so he'll just lie to your face, right? He doesn't sit there, I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help me God. He doesn't do that with a Bible in his hand, does he? With his hand on a Bible. So he'll sit there and lie to you all day long because he knows. And he's like, well, even if I did lie under oath, it don't matter because I got qualified immunity. I don't have to respect anybody. Because I got qualified immunity and I'm untouchable. I'm fucking God of this fucking land over here. Right? That's how he's thinking. That's how he's thinking. So he will dominate others through fraud, coercion, and presumption. He will sit there and tell you that he doesn't need your consent. Right? And then he'll turn around to the bailiff and go, arrest that guy. I don't like him. Throw him in jail. What's the charge? Contempt. He's in contempt of court. Jail. Sick. Some of these people are really sick. Okay? And I'll tell you, you go to your job, you have a regular job, non-government job, you're going to find about 80% of the people that you work with are good people. Okay? And about 20% of those people, like a little kind of rude, a little nasty, very unhelpful. And then maybe out of that 20%, maybe like 2% of those people are really bad. Okay, so we're talking a really, really small amount of people are really, really bad. But once you get involved with the government, it flip-flops. It's the other way around. It's like 80% are really bad. And then the other 20% are good. And it's totally backwards in government. And the reason why is because bad people want to get involved in government because that's the easiest and best way to control everybody and to have domination over the people. Okay. Yeah, I know, but you know what? Good luck to arguing that the Clearfield doctrine with them in the courtroom. They'll tell you, "Oh no, we're not using commercial paper. We're using legal tender." Legal tender is commercial paper, but they'll never admit it. You see, so there's issues. Yeah, that's why. This is why when you've heard people say, "Your paperwork is your court," it's because of stuff like that. You can't walk into the courtroom and argue that stuff because the judge will just yell at you. He'll yell at you, tell you shut up. He'll lie to your face, right? Yeah, there you go, Gary. Is that civil or criminal contempt? Oh, it's criminal. You go to jail. Fuck you. Oh, I'm sorry. What's your definition of contempt? Ask him for his definition of contempt. They can't answer that one. I'm going to hold you in contempt of court. Well, I'm sorry. What's your definition of contempt? You don't want to talk to you. Unless you submit well, do the CUSIP number, do a memorandum of law. There's things you could put paperwork before you have to go into court to get the case dropped before you need to go in. All right, so that's always your goal. Your ultimate goal, if you have to be forced into one of these quasi-criminal proceedings, right, or even a civil case, your main goal should be to, how can I get this dropped before I go into the courtroom? I always try to attack it procedurally. I look at what procedures were out, what was missing, and how to attack it that way so that it gets dropped. If the procedures aren't missing, then I challenge certain authorities of whoever's bringing the charges on. Right? And you always got to put your DBA into the court case because you got to let them know that, yes, you are in control. You have legal title over that person. The person. Yeah, thank you, Your Honor. For the record, can you please define the word contempt? I love that. That's such a beautiful way to phrase it. You know what? I'm going to start uploading yes, I will upload my lives on YouTube to Rumble. I'm going to start doing that. All right, so I will be doing that. Now, but here's the thing. You don't, like I was saying, like they're doing this thing, right? They're bypassing consent. They're bypassing contracts. And they're doing it through, they're forcing you into contracts, really, right? And they're doing this through fraud, coercion, and presumption. But we can't act that way. We have to be better than them, okay? And we have to respect the self-determination and private jurisdiction of others, okay? Just as you guard your estate, your trusts, and your properties, you have to acknowledge theirs. And we're not talking about government. We're just talking about people in general, right? Like I got my car, I have my house, right? I'm going to respect my stuff. I will respect your house, your car. Like, I'm not going to sit there and start, like I hear people go, yeah, my neighbor came over and did this to my house. I'm like, why? It's like, oh, because he didn't like this. I'm like, screw that dude. Punch him in the face. Like, he's touching your property. Well, don't actually punch him in the face. You know what I mean? But, just speaking, but not literally don't punch him in the face unless you have to, right? If he's trying to hurt you or something. But I don't know. When I was a kid, that was the solution. Somebody gave you a problem, you punch them in the face, problem solved. What happened to those days? All right. Things seem to be easier when you just, fixed it that way. But that's the other thing is, right? Like, you want to respect the self-determination of others, right? Their private property, right? You guard yours, you got to acknowledge theirs, okay? Honor the lawful games, right? And the forms you enter. If you're engaged in court or if you're in contract or negotiation, right? Like you're in court, all right, well, follow their rules. They have procedures. If you're not sure, if they're like, well, this is quasi-criminal. They do that a lot. Oh, this is quasi-criminal. Oh, okay. Can you show me do you have a set on hand of a copy of the quasi-criminal procedures? I've read some of the civil procedures and I read the criminal procedures, but I can't find this quasi-criminal procedures book anywhere. Do you have a copy I can look at? What are these guys going to do? Well, no, we're just kind of blending. Oh, you're blending. Oh. Is there a constitutional provision that says you could blend criminal and civil? Now, I'll tell you the reason why I think they're doing it. In any case, in civil cases, in any civil matter, if the state is named a party, the Supreme Court actually has original jurisdiction over that. That's per the Constitution. So all these traffic cases would go right to the Supreme Court in that matter if they were labeled civil, which by nature they are, because all they're trying to do is get money. So on its face, all these court cases are civil, but they call it criminal. So that way it doesn't have to go to the Supreme Court. That way they can get paid. But then they call it quasi-criminal because when you call it out for being criminal, go, well, what do you mean criminal? Who got injured? Well, no one got injured. Well, then it's civil. Well, no. It's still criminal because, you know, we need your money. We have a lot of money to make, and we need it from you, and we need it from the bonds on this case as well. So we have to make it criminal because if it goes to the Supreme Court, we can't make any money off of this because we're violating your rights here, man. We can't make money if we can't violate your rights. So it's quasi-criminal. That's what we do. Yeah, family court. Yeah, they do the same crap in family court. Family court is totally BS. What the fuck? Well, I don't get family court. How does a judge get the right to determine what's best for your family? They don't know you people. They don't know how your kids are. They don't know how the wife or the ex-wife or the husband or ex-husband is outside that courtroom. How do they have any capability of determining who's telling the truth, who's lying? You know, you get some of these people, I'll tell you, and not to knock women, but I tell you, some of these women are such cunning liars, okay? And maybe you take a bow for it, right? Because you're really good at it, all right? But don't take it as a personal hit, all right? But and some of these women are such cunning liars, man, that they can go into a courtroom after they just like, maybe they keyed the dude's car, broke all the windows in his house, right? Burned all his paperwork, right? And ran his credit cards into the trash and go, I didn't do any of that. And the judge believed them because they sound so fucking sincere, right? I tell you, you know, and the family court thing is one of the most screwed up fucking things ever. And I don't think that those family courts should only exist in certain situations, but I don't think they should encompass every single family situation. If there's actual abuse, if like there's proof that somebody's getting like physically harmed for real, not just like he hit me and he hurt me really bad. Yeah, where's the bruises? Where's the marks? Did the kids see it? You know? Like, yeah, they accept hearsay as facts. They're like religious courts where they operate off of beliefs rather than facts. You know, I actually wrote down my paperwork once. I was like, apparently this court is a religious court because it operates off of beliefs rather than facts. Let me tell you, that judge is not happy about that comment. He hated that one. He's like, this is a court of law. I said, oh, okay. Is that common law? Or, and he goes, no. We're not doing that. Like, you don't know what I was going to ask you. I know what you're going to ask. Oh, you're psychic now too. Well, it goes back to this being a religious court because you're operating off of beliefs. You believe you knew what I was going to say. All right? Let me tell you, that guy hated me. That judge hated me. Anyway, it was so much fun though, messing with that dude. Court of law. Oh, what kind of law? Is this common law or is this admiralty? Oh, we're not doing this. I didn't get to say the other one. Yeah, I know what you're going to say. See, this goes back to my argument. See, this court operates off of beliefs. You just proved my argument. He didn't like that. All right, but yeah. Now the other thing is like we were talking about. You want to honor the lawful games. That quasi-criminal crap. That's not lawful. That's just made up crap. Okay? That's made up bullshit. Yeah, and AI is going to tell you, oh, there's no maritime law. There's no maritime law. Shut up, AI. AI is such a piece of garbage, man. It is all part of the, oh, you're G-Man. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I get it now. Yeah. But, yeah, the AI is like, there's no maritime law. Are you kidding me? You could go to scholar.google and type in maritime court cases. And then look up dry dock. Oh, what's dry dock? That's maritime cases that are not on the water. You mean that's a thing? Yeah, that's a thing too. Dry dock. You know, it's so funny. So these dry dock courts, they're not going to tell you that. That's part of the fiction of law doctrine, right? And the only time, oh wait, what is he saying here? Let's see. AR argued with me about that as well. Maritime law says lawful, and the only time it's lawful is under martial law. Ah, well, yeah, but that's the whole thing. We've been under martial law since the Civil War. You know, I showed that in on a court case on Rumble. That's why they're using maritime law, because we're under martial law. But they don't. That's part of the fiction of law thing. They don't want that out. They don't want everyone knowing that stuff. So you go and show that shit, they freak out on that because they're like, fuck, you know. Um, Title IVD, I don't know what that is. IVD, what is that? 4D, what's that? Title 4. I don't know what the D stands for. Is 100% contractual in nature. Yes, morals and belief. He says morals and beliefs. Okay. Now here's one more thing, one more piece of this this code, these guidelines. Let's call them guidelines, right? Guidelines of acting in honor. Acting in honor guidelines. I like that. That works. Honorable guidelines, whatever. Anyway, you should always complete what you begin. You start a process, okay, or a filing, or notices, or you're working on remedies that only protect you, right? These things will only protect you, okay, if you carry them to their conclusion. Now, I'm, you know, you guys, I know like a lot of you guys don't really know me, like on a personal level. But people who know me personally know that I'm like this dauntless dude. Like I do not give up, right? Nothing. I'd never stop. Like I fought for years to have a music school, okay, and I really struggled hard to make that happen. And people are like, no, you should just go get a job, go do this. I'm like, no, fuck you. I'm gonna do what I want to do, right? And that's because there is no such thing as failure, okay? Failure, and people are gonna sit here and go, no, I failed, man. I failed. No, you stopped pushing on to the end result. That's what happened. That's what failure really is. Failure is just not pushing your way to the end to get to the goal. Okay? Like you can run a marathon. Okay? I am not in the shape to go run a marathon. I can't run, 26 and a half miles straight. But I'll tell you what, I will finish that marathon. You just got to keep going. Like I may fall over, I may freaking vomit, who knows, faint, whatever. I'm going to get up when I can and get back on the road and do it if I really want to. Okay? If you really want to achieve a goal, okay, you're going to keep heading that way, in that direction till you get there. There is no such thing as failure. I've seen people come to me to learn guitar and they go, yeah, I failed before, maybe I can do it again. It's like, no, you haven't failed because you haven't quit. You got to keep going. So the thing is, you stopped, and that's when you failed. It's that moment right there when you failed. When the moment you said, I can't do it anymore. That was your failure. So failure is only a mindset that you've put a limit to how far you can go on this. That's what failure really is. It is nothing more than that. So when you start a process, now unless the process is wrong, invalid, or illegal, if it's unlawful, then don't do it. Then you should stop. But if you're doing a process that is lawful, if you're doing filings, notices, right? These things, all these remedies will only protect you if you carry them out to their conclusion. Okay. And that's it. That's how that works. And if you follow these to the end, you will get your remedy. You will get your protection you're looking for from doing this. Okay? But you have to carry it on through and never give up. Giving up is when you fail. It's a mindset. Failure is just a mindset that you can't push any further. right? But there, I think you guys heard about this. These scientists, what they did was they put a bunch of mice into a pool, right, and then just let them drown, right? Um, they just let them drown, and they timed how long it took before they all drowned. And I think it was like 4 or 5 hours or something. They drowned, and then what they did was they put the mice in and they took one of the mice out and saved it and then put it back in the water. Like right before the time it would drown, they took it out, saved them, right, from drowning, and then put them back in the water. And what they found was that when they put them back in, the mouse could last another 20 something hours before it would drown that second time. And what that concluded was that just a little bit of hope can make one's self-determinism expand exponentially. Okay. And you got to keep that in mind if you're working on something and you know it's right and you know you're doing the right thing in your heart. Okay. Because your real heart is never wrong. Okay. The only thing that is wrong is when you allow other people to come in and tell you, no, 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 this and blah, 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 that. No, what you know inside you to be true is your truth. And you can live your life under your own truth. Okay. And you should do that. All right. Um, but when you keep that hope there, your ability to endure and go longer exponentially grows. Okay. And you got to keep that in mind when you're doing these things, because you will get like the courts, right? The cops, lawyers, the friends and family around you. Don't do that. You're going to get in trouble. Oh, right. People are going to do that stuff. And the reason why they're going to do that is because, one, the people around you are scared. Okay. Um, the, the, the governmental system is operating off a fiction of law, and they don't want people to be able to reclaim their rights. What they're trying to do there is protect their assets. You are an asset to them, being a subject. So they'll lie to you, they will deceive you, they will break every part of those guidelines that we just talked about, these guidelines of honor. They will violate every single one of those for a paycheck, for control. Okay? And we have to be better than that. If we keep doing what we're doing, what you know is right. If you in your heart go, I don't feel this is right, you just walk away from it. Go clean it up, clean up the mess, and walk away from it. I'm not going to judge you for anything you decide that you don't want to do. If you feel it's immoral, you feel it's wrong, you feel it's incorrect, maybe you just feel the process isn't right. You go, you know what? I think this process is wrong. I'm not going to do it. Fine. This is a free country. You get to do what you want. Okay? Yeah, they've done a great job with the indoctrination. But just know, when you know in your heart that it's true, right? Keep that little bit of hope left, and go talk to someone that you know is going to give you a little bit of hope. If you have to go put on like an inspirational video or something, right? Or talk to a friend that is helping you with this, say, hey, look, I'm starting to lose hope. And you go, nah, man, we know this is right. Look what happened here. Look at this. And maybe read this thing. And all of a sudden you got that hope back. Now that 4 hours before you drown now turns into 20 hours. That gives you a lot more energy and ambition. And you just keep going. Okay? Pandora's box says pull out all this shit, but what was left inside the box? Hope. So don't give up on it. All right? Because the second you give up, hope is out of the box, it's gone. And what are you left with? Nothing. That's failure.
Joe, testament to what you just said, man. Trust community. All the times I felt like I've been beat down. Thank God for our trust community, because that just keeps giving hope to keep going. And thank you for your availability in there for stuff as well, dude, because you really helped me keep going when everything else around me is just saying quit.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. That's great. Yeah, and that trust community is very valuable. You're not the only one to say that, and so I appreciate all you guys being on here from the trust community. Anyone else from the trust community want to say hello to everybody?
Greetings. I keep putting it in the TikTok chat, join the trust community and how to do it.
No. Well, I appreciate your efforts. Thank you. Honestly. Okay, so I'm gonna take up a couple questions in here, or a couple statements. Where do I file a DBA in Cincinnati? So, you can do the Minnesota assumed name certificate, but in Ohio, they might have their own type of. Let's look it up real quick. Let's see. Ohio, assumed name. Let's see if they have something like that. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so in Ohio, it's called a fictitious name or a trade name. And you could go down to your local county and get one. I do suggest you do the Minnesota one, but I think it's good to also do your state's version of it. So that way it's recognized within your state as well. Okay, so it doesn't hurt to do the Minnesota one. It's really simple to go on there, but I would do your state one. So there's two types of assumed names in Ohio. Trade names would provide exclusive rights to the use of the name within the state, and fictitious names, which do not need to be distinguishable and offer no exclusive rights. So I would do the trade name in Ohio. That's what I did in New Jersey. I did the trade name, and in New Jersey, it's called a trade name. So I did the trade name, and all of a sudden, they stopped putting my name on any paperwork. They can't use it anymore because I have exclusive rights to the use of the name. All right. So look up your state's assumed name or business name, trade name, and find out what it says, and then go ahead and do it. Because when you start doing that, you're telling them that you know what's going on. You know this. You're learning about how the system works. That yes, I have to be financially responsible. I have to have financial knowledge. I have to have knowledge about commerce and business, right? Because what are you dealing with? You're dealing with a business. You're dealing with a government entity, which is really a corporation that's operating under a banking system. Okay, so because it's operating as a banking system, you need to be able to know how to do business and conduct business and have financial knowledge. So by getting the assumed name or your trade name in your state and the Minnesota one's important because what it does is it puts you in age of majority and rebuts the presumption of the patron's patry doctrine, meaning that you're a ward of the state and that you're an infant. It means you're age of majority. Okay, you know what? I'll pull that up real quick and show you guys what I'm talking about. The patron's patry doctrine. Where is this thing? We're gonna go to Black Laws, 4th edition. I should have it here. Well, you know what? I got the 9th one here. Let's just pull that one up for the sake of it. It's probably in there too. All right. Oh, something else I was doing. Nope. That's patient. So it's down here a little bit. Ah, parents. Okay, parents. Oh, it's up here a little more. We're getting there. For those of you who are getting restless, think about how long it takes just to find this stuff. It's just to find something and learn about it. Here we go. All right, we're getting closer. Parents, patry. Okay. So this is Roman law. See, first one's Roman law. See, they've never gotten rid of the Roman law. I would advise, yeah, do the DBA for the children, but you're the owner. You're the owner. When they turn 18, they can take over. Okay. Roman law, the emperor as the embodiment of the state. Okay. The state regarded as sovereign. The state in its capacity as provider of protection for those unable to care for themselves. Okay, you see what they're saying here? The state becomes the provider of protection. This is a feudal system concept right here. Okay, they're saying that you go to the state, say, "Help me, state," and the state goes, "Yes, bend the knee and give me allegiance, and I will protect you." Right? A doctrine by which a government has standing to prosecute a lawsuit on behalf of a citizen, especially on behalf of someone who's under a legal disability, to prosecute the suit. This is literally when you go get a lawyer, okay, and you go into court with a lawyer, what you're saying is that I need help. I can't do this on my own. I need someone to care for me. I need someone to protect me. You have to bring this for me. I can't do it myself because I'm not responsible. I don't have responsibility. I'm not an adult yet. All right, the state ordinarily has no standing to sue on behalf of a citizen unless a separate sovereign exists will be served by the suit. Okay, so there's more to it on this, but it talks about infants, underage, right, wards of the state. But when you do the Minnesota DBA, you rebut this presumption of being under the state as a ward of it, to be under the care of those, right? Now you've become the sovereign because you're age and majority now. So that's why you want to do the Minnesota one, but you would do the but you want to do your state one and you want to do the Minnesota one. Let's see what else says in here. File for yeah. I heard it said to be careful not to lose your sovereignty once you become national. You can. I heard it said be careful to not lose your sovereignty once you become a national. You can explain how this can happen. Yeah, by contracts. When you contract, any contract you do with the government, right? You have to be careful. Like, not all contracts with the government are bad, by the way. Some are good. Okay, so some are good, some are bad. But you have to read the contracts, because if your contract is waiving a natural right, then that's how you lose your sovereignty, because you start waiving your rights. Okay, now the funny thing about natural rights is that you can never actually waive them because they're inherent inside of you. So when you contractually waive a right, that right is still not waived because it still exists within you. It's part of you, like freedom of speech. If you waive your right to freedom of speech, it's in you to just start talking again. You could just start going blah 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 blah, and they go, "Oh, you can't say these things." Well, fuck you. I'm gonna say it anyway. Well, you signed this contract. All right. Well, yeah, but it's still there. You can't really get rid of it, right? It's like you know, they can't. Okay, but that's how you would do it in a courtroom. They'll recognize the contract over your rights. Do you believe in creating a durable power of attorney for your legal name and corporate name? You can do that, but the thing is this: the assumed name does that for you. That is your POA. That's your power of attorney, that assumed name. So make it real easy. Get the assumed name. Now you have power of attorney over the name and corporate name. It really is that simple sometimes. Here's the thing. I was on a meeting with some people yesterday, and somebody was talking in complexities. They tried to make this subject they brought up very complicated. And as a rule, a personal rule of mine is nothing is complicated unless someone is trying to hide truth. And I'm not saying that the person making things complicated was trying to hide truth. I think that they got information from someone else who, all the way at the beginning of that whole issue, was trying to hide truth. And the complexities come from the hiding of truth. Okay, I totally believe that, and no one will ever get me to change my mind on that. But I think all complexities derive from the hiding of truth. Okay, and couldn't tone claim not adults, I can't contract. Yeah, that's right. The kids can't contract, but if you have control over the children's name because you're the owner of those businesses, then they have to contract with you in order to do anything with those children. So those are DBAs, and they don't have any power. Do you give the trade name to all corporations? Oh yeah, you can do that. You can absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, you can give them the trade name. And then you say, yeah, well, you're doing business with my trade name, with my sole proprietor, with my whatever you wanted to call it. The IRS calls it sole proprietorship, but remember, in your state it's not called that. Right? They'll recognize that term, but they call it trade name, assumed name, DBA, whatever. if you're not age majority. Um, well, don't do that because then he can, if you tell him that you're not age majority, then he can decide for you. That's the parents' patry doctrine I was just talking about. So be careful of that stuff, right? Yeah, exactly. The more complex they make it, the easier they can manipulate you. So you want to tell them you're age of majority because then you're in charge of your own affairs and they don't have a right to tell you what you can and can't do anymore. As short of hurting someone, right? If you hurt somebody, that's different. Then the government actually has a valid authority to come in, step in, and do something about it. Put the kids in the trust, yeah. Is it safe to post my email? My email is everywhere. I think everyone has my email address, right? I bet you somebody could drop my email in the chat right now, okay, on TikTok and on YouTube because it's all over the place. Yeah, I'll put this in. Let's see. Don't feel bad if I don't answer your emails because one thing is I get lots of emails. I delete a lot of them because it's just too many to read. And don't feel bad if your email gets lost in that shuffle of deletion. It's just the assumed name. You go to the Minnesota Secretary of State website and you apply for the assumed name. All right. You have to open up an account. You have to open up an account with them. It's free, just like all those websites where you get the free account. And then you can go in there. It's $50 to do the assumed name. But then I would go down to your local county clerk's office and go get the trade name or business name or DBA, whatever it's called in your state there. All right, as well. All right. And then you can go put that stuff on record there too. If you leave the name with no trust declared by you, then they do commercial training. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Now remember, one thing is that sovereigns use gold and silver, right? So, uh, they took all that away from us, right? From 1930s all the way 1970s, they took away gold and silver from us, right? And they took away the sovereign status of all the people through the money. But that's a different story. I'm not going to get into that today too much. Um, what was this? I got the Minnesota assumed name letter. If it's still valid, if you haven't published it in, yeah, it's still valid. I mean, it's still, go look. If it's active, it's active. You should put it in a newspaper, right? And get the affidavit of publication because that's what they want. You have to trademark your name with the United States Patent and Trademark Office. Okay, that's where you trademark the name. It's the United States Patent and Trademark Office. I created a new Gmail for my living trust. I use that email for. Oh yeah, good. Yeah, good. That's smart. That's very smart, Sammy. I knew I liked you for a reason. I like smart people. Okay. It's those stupid people I can't stand, man. I got no tolerance for the stupid people, man. And by the way, if you think you're one of those, you're not. Because anyone who's here listening to me, you're not one of the stupid people. All right, the stupid people, I won't even entertain them. All right, so because I know some people come to me and go, "Oh, I'm dumb." I'm like, "No, you're not dumb. Don't think that. Never disparage yourself. Never diminish your abilities and your worth. Okay, that's a violation of your own personal code. Okay, never do that. What else we got going on here? So we got a couple minutes before I wrap it up. Any other quick questions, comments anyone wants to say on YouTube, TikTok, or right here on Zoom? The trademark helps. The trademark is a big deal because the trademark, I'm going to pull it up for everybody on YouTube, but what the trademark does actually is it bypasses the qualified immunity. There is no qualified immunity under trademarks. Okay. This is a very, very powerful part. Um, yes, I do help with trust. I have a whole trust community. In fact, I'll turn my thing on over here. So if someone from the trust community wants to talk about the trust community, you can go ahead and do so.
Well, I'll drop the link in there again, Joe. The question about the trademark, doesn't that when you register it to the United States, doesn't it just gift your shit right back to them? That's my question on the
What do you mean?
trademark. Well, because the government owns the trademark, how do you get equitable title over that trademark other than? So I guess I'm still a little confused. I didn't take that class
The
in the
trademark.
trust.
I don't think he talked about that specifically inside of there, but what was it? But yeah, but the way it is with the trademark, you get equitable title over the name because now anytime anyone gets in your way, right?
Okay,
Anytime,
so the assumed name document gives you the legal title over it, and the trademark gives you equitable title over it. Okay, thank you.
bingo, bingo, right? But I mean, even the assumed name that gives you some equitable title because you can start submitting fee schedules and saying, hey, look, you want to do business with me? This is what I charge, right? So you get an equitable rights over that name right there from the assumed name. But the trademark is that's the brick wall. They can't bust through. Okay, they don't have a wrecking ball for that one. Okay, and I'm going to show you guys why. So this is 15 U.S. Code 1122, liability United States and states and instrumentalities and officials thereof. Waiver of sovereign immunity by the United States. The United States, all agencies and instrumentalities thereof, and all individuals, firms, corporations, or other persons acting for the United States and within the authorization and consent of the United States shall not be immune from suit in federal or state court by any person, including any governmental or non-governmental entity, for any violation under this chapter. Waiver of sovereign immunity by states. Any state, instrumentality of a state, or any officer or employee of a state or instrumentality of a state acting in his or her official capacity shall not be immune under the 11th Amendment. That's the first bad amendment, is the 11th Amendment. Okay? Under the 11th Amendment of the Constitution of the United States, or under any other doctrine of sovereign immunity from suit in federal courts by any person, including any governmental or non-governmental entity, for any violation under this chapter. So they're telling you right here, if you work for the United States or you work for the state in any kind of, or any instrumentality of the state, right, which is like an agency, if you're an officer, an employee of the state, or instrumentality of the state, an agency of the state, including the courts, you have no sovereign immunity if you violate any of the provisions under this chapter. And what's the chapter? It's chapter 22. Trademarks. Get the trademarks, people. That gives you complete, total immunity, right? It gives you complete remedy. You have the complete remedy once you have the trademark. The assumed name gives you the authority to use the business. Now you're acting in a business capacity and you separated yourself from the entity. The trademark gives you complete, total, equitable relief. So that way, if anyone ever uses that name without your express permission, you can get paid. And it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter if they work for, it doesn't matter if they're a cop, a judge, a lawyer. Don't matter. Don't matter if it's the governor. They can all get sued and they have to pay you out what you ask for because they're using your trademark and they're violating the rules under this chapter, the entire chapter. That's why the trademark is so powerful. So get the trademark done. That's my suggestion. I don't
Joe,
have any pictures. Yeah,
what was that code that you just had before you pulled up the 15 US?
it's 1122.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's it right there. So get the trademark and you watch how things change. Sometimes I don't know what he's talking about. It's kind of weird. Some of the, well, it is what it is. Anyway, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. But I really appreciate everybody hanging out here with me today, and I hope you guys got something out of today's thing. And anyone else from the community want to say anything before we go?
You know, I can't keep my mouth shut. Hub pages. Get back to writing. I love the way your brain thinks.
Oh yeah, the hub
People can follow
pages.
you on Hub pages. You've got some excellent literary material written there. Hub pages. Joe Lustica.
Yeah, hub pages.
UB
And
pages. Hub pages. Uh huh. Thank you, Joe,
yeah,
for all you do.
thank you. Great for all the fraudulent companies who have used. Oh yeah, yeah. There you go. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you guys. I'm gonna head out, but yeah, if you would like to join the trust community and be a part of that, I'll drop it in the YouTube thing here. All right, that's how you can sign up. I think I typed it wrong. And if you're on TikTok and you want to join, you can go to, yeah, that's right. Yeah. The USPTO, that's for the trademark. Um, you too. Yeah, you have an incredible, creative, abundant day. I love that. That's such a positive. All right, so yeah, go. It's if you go in my profile, there's a Linktree link, and you can find the sign up for the trust community. I hope to see you in there. We are like a family, all of us. So I appreciate you guys here hanging out with me from the trust community today. All
Yeah,
right,
glad you're back doing this, man. We missed you the last couple of weeks that you were off on the Saturdays.
yeah, it's that whole end of summer thing, and all this stuff gets crazy. I can't do anything, but I may be off of this for a little while, so I might try to find another day to do it or another time on Saturday to do it. We'll see. But
Right on, man. Thanks. Have a great weekend.
you too. Yeah. Yeah. So we're gonna try to get back into doing this and getting this done. Every I love these meetings, so I want to keep it going, but I have to see because my weekends are changing a little bit for a few months, so we'll see what I'm able to do. All right. But that's it for today. Guys, thanks for hanging out. I'll see you all later.
Hambone just showed up. Hambone
Oh
just showed
yeah,
up.
that's fine. That's fine. He said good morning. He's acting nice, so do you want me to hang out with him for a couple minutes? Hambone, you want to share anything? You want to come on the TikTok live and talk with us? You want to do that? You want to come on and have a conversation? I'll put you on here on TikTok with us. We'll talk. Or if not, if you want to come on the YouTube channel, I'll send you a Zoom link. You can come on Zoom and talk with me on Zoom right on live on he said enjoy your Saturday. He don't want to talk. You enjoy your Saturday too. But I was gonna have you come on the YouTube and then we could have a discussion on YouTube live for everyone to watch. I don't know if he's scared, but Hambone's here. Oh, this would be a lot of fun.
It would be fun. It would be so much fun.
See, everyone wants to hear you. They want to hear your voice. They want to see your face. They want to know what you're all about, man. They want to talk with you. All right? You've caused quite a commotion in the community and we would love to hear from you. We want to hear you directly. I'm showing my face. Everyone knows my voice. They know my name. We know your name's Hambone. Come on. I'm gonna write it out for a couple minutes. Let's see. Let's see what he says. Yay! Thanks, Joe. I'll have to go and recap the live. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, have fun with that. And then I will start uploading these chicken. Oh, Jedi power. That was great.
Chicken bone.
Okay. All right. I guess we're done here. That was funny. All right, but I'm gonna go. Guys, thanks for spending the morning with me. All right. You go enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I'll see you.